Ooh, hello, hello, hello. All right, we're streaming. Apple iPhone 11 announcement recap. All right. Who we got first in here? Techzilla was good. TZ's in the house. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Apple iPhone 11 event recap. Tech and Chill live show. What's good, people? What's good? All right. Live stream is kicking. I think we got the live stream going. So we got a live stream on YouTube and Periscope, aka Twitter. So we are multi-streaming. All right, let's see, and let's wait and see if there's anyone else that's going to be jumping in. Da 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 da. All right, that's a lot. There's a decent amount to talk about. Boom, boom, boom. Uh, let's see what's good. All right, so what's good, evening, people? Welcome to the Tech and Chill show. So we are pretty much going to be talking about the iPhone 11 event recap. So yeah, man, we are multi-streaming on YouTube, obviously on Lover of Tech, and also on my Twitter page via Periscope. So I pinned it to the profile, man. So all the Twitter followers, you can have a look and you can catch up through there as well. I'll try and look at the comment section there as well and see what's good. So a good couple of devices have been announced today from Apple, the fruit company themselves. So I'll be trying to look through and switch up between these devices. But interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So we got Texzilla in the house. Latin new iPhones are iPhone 10R S. Change my mind. No, it's very true to a large extent. It's very true to a large extent. So that's what we're gonna have a talk about and pretty much discuss the positives, the negatives, the missed opportunities. You know how they're still gonna. Uh, uh, Wait, did I just miss something? I think we're back. Sorry. I think the live stream's back. I hope the live stream's back. I think we went offline briefly. I think we went offline briefly. Oh, yeah, we should be good. Yeah, we should be good. Okay, cool. So all right, cool. All right, the stream went offline for whatever reason. You're working. Okay, cool. I think we're good. All right, so we've got Mark in the house as well. We've got Glenn. Let's just do a quick sound and picture check if we're looking good. Lighting, audio. If you guys can hear me clearly, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Um, Anything new with the Apple Watch? To be honest, I was on a train home, so I missed all the key things about the Apple Watch apart from I think the battery life and the always on display, the 399 pricing. But we'll look through the Apple website and see what's going on with the iPhone. Okay, so we are gonna try and aim to do this in an hour. We're gonna try and aim to do this in an hour. Um, Texzilla said buffering again. Well, I hope we're not buffering. Hope we're not buffering. Should be good. Should be good. We should be good. We should be good. Let me just turn down desktop audio. Yeah, we're sounding good. All right, I'm gonna get to the question. So disappointed with this year's iPhone lineup considering the pricing of the iPhone 11 Pro. Okay. That's Mark Akwe. Yep. Anything new with the Apple Watch? No. So all right, cool. So let me just see if I can hit the record button as well. Right. So welcome to tonight's Tech and Chill show. We're gonna try and do this in an hour. Pretty much try and get straight to the point. I'll try and also switch between the desktop where we'll be able to see what is happening on the Apple. There's going to be a lot of reference into the apple.co.uk website just to make sure that I got my stuff correct. So if you guys can see the desktop as well, boom, that's how we're going to be looking. So yeah, should be interesting in that sense. We're going to be switching through. So yeah, it's working, but the circle keeps spinning. Bro, it might just be your internet, Texilla. It might just be your internet. So Apple did their event today. It was 10 a.m. in California, 6 p.m. over here in UK, and it's what we've been anticipating with Apple amongst all the leaks and all the speculations of what these iPhone 11s will be. And I mean, obviously, the names, were touted to be iPhone 11R, iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Max, which I think would have been better because obviously, iPhone 11. I get why they're doing it. iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11 Pro Max. I think the Pro Max is a bit of a mouthful, but it's not too bad. I get why they've done that because it will make the iPhone 11 feel less of a step down in terms of premium lineup to the name, So, I mean, uh, it's one of those. It's one of those. So, let me just try and catch in terms of what. So I'm impressed with the iPhone 11 price. Okay, Techzilla. So, iPhone 11 price working for me. All good. Nice. Thank you, Glenn. Alex. So, Apple Watch disappointing this year, always on display and a compass. Apple Watches have always been a product you don't upgrade yearly or even 2 years. I went for this 1 to Series 4. iPhone 11 is all right, to be honest, but Pro Max, nah. Okay. Now, let's start with, I want to start with the good stuff. Okay, so let me switch to this. I want to talk about the good stuff first, because I think there's a lot of things that I'm really concerned about this year's iPhones, especially the Pro models, right? So right now the lineup is, as we can see, iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11, iPhone 10R. Some people like to still call it the XR, makes sense, and the iPhone 8. So they've dropped the iPhone 7 series, and obviously the iPhone XS and the XS Max, or 10s, 10s Max, they're gone. Just like the iPhone 10 on Apple's website directly was only there for a year, then it went. The XS or the 10s came in, they've been there for a year and they've gone. They've been replaced by the iPhone 11 series, which is mainly the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max, right? So if we go to the iPhone 11 and we go to pricing first, we're going to look at the pricing first, and let's just see what is being said about the pricing. So Apple are pretty much being big on trade-ins. Now, mind you, the iPhone 10R last year for UK was 749. It was 749. It gets a £20 reduction. And then obviously you've got the product red, which is available straight away. You've got the black color, green color, yellow, purple, white, and a base storage of 64 gigabytes. Okay. All the way up to 256 gigabytes, which is still under £900. So £880. Okay. 780. Now let's overview and see what obviously the iPhone 11 is all about. iPhone 11, which is obviously the base model, and obviously what they've done is obviously the different colors. Gone through that. We now have dual cameras up from the single lens camera, which is the introduction of their new 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. So that, I think, is the first impressive thing, that they chose the right focal length to add as the additional second camera. That I've definitely got to say that they did correctly there. Let me just switch this up and bring this so I can still see the comments as I am going through. Apologies. Bring it back. Bring it back. Sing it back. So for me, first of all, they chose, again, I'm not going to be ignoring your questions in there, so keep them firing. Once I blast through, I'm going to come back and check through that and stuff. So they chose the right focal length as an additional, so I think that adds great value. It's a 12 megapixel camera, it's ultra wide, it's 120 degrees in terms of, you know, the focal length, so it's a good in between other manufacturers, where some manufacturers are going 123, some are 117. It sits right in the middle. It gives a good field of view, and it's meant to be a 13 millimeter equivalent to full frame field of view that you're going to be getting. So you've got obviously the high quality video on the smartphone, which we're talking about now, in terms of obviously up to the 4K 60 frames a second on a front facing camera, which is impressive, which is now 12 megapixels. If you decide to actually go through holding it horizontally rather than vertically 7 megapixels. There's a wider front facing camera. If you hold it horizontally, then you get the 12 megapixels extra wide. There's a night mode, but it's not dedicated. It is not a dedicated night mode, but there is a night mode. So I think there's going to be backlash on not being given a dedicated night mode where you can select it, because I know companies like Samson got slated for that. So I know that's going to be something that's going to be, you know, but it's good to see that there is a night mode. They've improved portrait mode. They've put another portrait lighting with high key light mono effect. So we're going to see if that doesn't seem to be in beta, seems to be something that's working straight away. So we'll see how that goes. Smart HDR, so we saw that from before. Different picture samples from there. Go even faster when you press and hold, so very similar to what you get on things like WhatsApp and Instagram. Slow-mo selfie. Okay, so on a technical level, it's impressive that they've been able to put 120 frames a second into the selfie camera, and I think it's a case where it's good because it shows that the front-facing camera on a hardware level has a much higher readout. So hence why they can put the 60 frames a second and 120 frames a second, and the processing and also the fast storage. So it's good to see. I don't know how many people are going to use it, but Slofi. uh, I'm not really digging that. So IP68, as they, you know, quoted from before, for some reason Apple quote their IP68 as 2 meters up to 30 minutes rather than a 1.5 meters. So interesting. Um, the normal iPhone 11 does not come with the fast charger in the box, from what I believe. So it does support the 18-watt fast charging via power delivery, but it does not come in a box for the iPhone 11, which it's a shame, but I guess they're trying to differentiate why it's Pro. So faster Face ID. Um, so faster Face ID, they've got the support for the Dolby Atmos. It's dual SIM, still with one and also with an electronic SIM in there. Audio sharing, obviously that's something that's coming with iOS 13. So it kind of just rings home that this is pretty much where we are now. If we go to the tech specs, right, these are the 3 storage SKUs, same as the iPhone XR from last year, the dimensions. So we have still got this liquid retina high definition display. So 6.1 inch diagonal with a notch, bigger bezels, and it's one of their weird resolutions because they really want to stick to that 326 ppi, the pixels per inch. Yeah, 1792 by 828, right? Haptic touch, so no more 3D touch, and that was the case for the iPhone XR. It didn't have 3D touch. It's got haptic touch. A13 Bionic seems to be a beast of an engine, and obviously, you know, the ultra wide angle lens is f2.4. No OIS, because that's not really something that you see on an ultra wide angle lens. Like I stated, 102 degrees. Aperture 1.8 on the main one. Optical zoom is ×2 on the telephoto, which I think is a waste of time. ×2 nowadays. Digital up to ×5. Portrait mode. Panorama, nothing interesting there. So video recording, 24 frames a second, which is great. Something that they've carried over. Much better for low light. Looks more cinematic. The high frame rate videos. Cinematic video stabilization. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that looks like in terms of their level of stabilization. Record up to 4K on the selfie camera. So the great thing is that obviously the new front facing camera is it is impressive. It is probably on par with the Galaxy series, if not better, because the Galaxy series could do up to 30 frames a second in UHD 4K, but it seems like you can do UHD 4K in 60 frames a second on the new front facing true depth camera on these new iPhones. So I've got to give them that, and that's also with smart HDR for photos as well. So I've got to give them that selfie camera probably might just be one of the best on the market right now, potentially, but paper spec says something. We just gotta wait to see. So touch ID generation 3, they haven't called it generation 3, but it's a third iteration of it. Seems to be faster, great angles from what they've said, and these are all the LTE bands. That's for the iPhone 11. Okay, now we'll talk about the iPhone 11 first. I think my overall impressions of the iPhone 11, to really get down to it, I think is better. I think it's better than last year's iPhone XR, based on these being my reasons: the extra 1 hour battery life, the extra camera, obviously both the improved cameras for the front facing selfie and also the ultra wide angle camera. I've got to say that adds better, it makes it much more accessible, much better value. And obviously the new processor that's in there, we don't know if it's got more RAM, whether it's gone up from 3 to 4 gig. We're going to have to wait and see. Apple doesn't really disclose that, but we'll have to wait and see. I think overall, the iPhone 11 gives me the most positive vibe about this whole new product launch, right? Does it mean it's perfect? Yeah, sorry. And the new lower price as well. So, you know, in the US is $699. In the UK is £729, which is £20 cheaper than what it was last year for the base model at 64 gigabytes. So I guess so, you know, like, and there being just a £50 difference to get 128 makes it a better selling proposition. and it's another £100 if you want to, you know, double that storage to 256, which for £880, and again, will it's a better value proposition for a current gen iPhone, right? I've got to say that. Is it still perfect? No, it's not perfect, because till this day, I just don't agree with Apple pretty much trying to sell the story that the iPhone 11R is their best LCD screen technology. Their best LCD technology in a screen is definitely iPad Pros because of the ProMotion displays, one. And also, if it's not based on a ProMotion display, the iPhone 8 Pluses with a 5.5-inch display have a better display. They have a proper 1080p resolution display, one. Two, they have 3D touch. Yes, we can make the argument that the 3D touch is something that most people don't use, if not a lot of people find, but it still has it, which is a much better feature than haptic touch. And it is a high resolution display. So it's actually a genuine 1080p display. So it's not this 828p display. That's the problem that I have with it in that retrospect, that if you're going to use LCD, fine, cost. Apple makes some of the best LCD displays, not them personally, but they know how to calibrate some of the best LCD screens on the market, right? They proved it with the iPhone 7. There's, you know, since the 6 Plus, 6S Plus, 7 Plus, 8 Plus, they proved they make very good LCD panels. Mind you, LCDs, not outdated, but kind of like, you know, not the creme de la creme, right? Fine. But my biggest problem is that this display is still not a proper 1080p display, right? That's probably my biggest problem with it. And probably my biggest problem is that the base storage is 64 gig. Now, for this particular model, it's less of a problem because there is a 128 gig model. And funny enough, the 128 gig model in terms of pricing, as I showed before, isn't as painful, right? It's not as painful. 128 gig, it's a £50 difference. I want to be fair to it, and I want to be honest to it, that it is not that bad. It's actually good. It's actually good. It's better. It's somewhere between okay to good in my eyes, right? Because they've done things that I think people will notice and appreciate the difference coming from an iPhone XR to this, right? An hour battery life extra, probably in real world is probably like an extra 30 minutes to 20 minutes. Will people really notice that difference? No. Right? I still think they should have put the fast charger in there. But one thing I do appreciate, that they did do a price reduction. I still think ideally this iPhone 11 or 11R, as it's really meant to be the successor of, I still think it's a device that should be and should have been priced personally at $649. I think at $649 there'll be no arguments against it. Any digs at the display would just be like, you know, you're really just going the extra mile, right? In terms of just picking something really bad about it. It's got IP rating. It's a good phone. It's a good phone. So that's pretty much my opinion around the iPhone 11. I think it's a good phone. I think they did a good job, somewhere between okay to a good job with it. I would have honestly had less of a problem with that phone if it just had a genuine 1080p display like you get on the iPhone 8 Plus that they sell. The iPhone 8 Plus technically has a better display than the iPhone 11. So not too much to say about it, because obviously iOS 13 is going to come with all its advances. I've got to definitely praise the video performance. On paper, it looks like it's going to knock it out of the park. But I mean, that's my opinion based on what the iPhone 11 is, right? I think anyone that buys the iPhone 11 coming from a previous device like an iPhone 7, an iPhone 6S, definitely an iPhone 6, you won't be disappointed. If you want to stick to iOS, I don't think you'll be disappointed with this phone. Personally, I don't think you will. You know, but it deserves the critiques that it needs to get. But I think this is their best one so far. So, all right, I'm gonna speed this up. So let me just dive into the questions so I don't make you guys feel ignored. So iPhone 11 is alright, to be honest. Yeah, I've got to agree, Latin. iPhone 11 is actually alright. It's not bad. It's not bad, to be fair. iPhone 11 is not bad. iPhone 11 is not bad. It is not bad. I don't think it's you need to jump head over heels for it, but I think it's not bad. I think they did somewhere between okay to good with the iPhone 11R. The iPhone 11, sorry. Yeah, there's normally a hardware upgrade for the new Apple Watch, but doesn't seem to be anything this year. Yeah. One major issue with the iPhone, surprisingly, they included a fast charger. Depends on the Pro models, which we're going to get to. Toxic death. Apple is not good anymore. Yeah, to a certain extent, we can say that, but it's all relative. We're going to keep it like impartial as much as possible, but we're going to inject some opinions into it as well. I like they got the wide angle camera. Yeah, I think that if they put a telephoto, it would have been a waste of time for the iPhone 11R. So I think it really sets it in a place where it gives the iPhone, it gives the phones like the Samsung Galaxy S10e, it gives them a run for their money because they're kind of like they watched what they were doing and they've implemented a lot of that. So pound for pound, it goes against that phone very well in some retrospects, even though that phone has dropped in price. Interested in finding out more about the camera software and the quality of it. Yeah, we just got to wait till, for once, it's not a 2-week pre-order. It's just a 1-week pre-order. So pre-orders go live on a Friday. Phone comes out next week, Friday. I think it's the quickest in terms of announcement to pre-order rollover. Usually it's about 2 weeks. So it's a good look in that retrospect. Explain why the iPhones don't have 5G. It's literally anyone that knows the politics between Intel, between Qualcomm and Apple with their 5G modems and obviously their 4G modems and the whole politics that happened between Intel modems and throttling of speeds between the Qualcomm one. This is why they don't have 5G this year. So 2020, probably worst case scenario 2021. So there's not going to be any 5G. So without getting into too much of the politicals, there's just a weird bad relationship that happens. So to be fair, 5G isn't available everywhere. Why increase the cost of an iPhone for 5G in which it isn't widely available? I remember that Apple was a year late to 4G on iPhones. I think it was the iPhone 5. It kind of was, but in the UK, the iPhone 5 was, just answering Alex's question, in the UK was September 2012. Apple was the first 4G available phone on EE in the UK. So they were so they kind of were ahead in some places in retrospect. Yeah, but it should be future proof. I don't like that word future proof. Future compatible. Come next year, 5G will be much wider and we'll need a phone. So George, hey, how are you? I'm good, man. It's all about the Memoji. Nah, never. Well, that's true. People tend to hold on to their iPhones for a while, so 5G would have been a good thing. No more 3D touch. Yep, no more 3D touch. Technically, T in the house was good. T was good. Thanks for joining the stream. We're just doing a recap. We're gonna go phone by phone. What's good? Sup TT? Yes, that talks text in the house. Hey, look who it is. Glad you're back, man. I know we've had our differences. I'm hoping we can squash that and just focus on it. Yeah, that's cool. Like that's calm, bro. That's calm. Like, thanks for joining, Zach. Can we just recognize that this includes the same day as the Area 55 raid? Memes are gonna be what's good, Alex Palmer in the house. So I've ran through the questions and that's basically the conclusion of iPhone 11, right? We're starting from there. So we're going to switch over to the Pro devices and we're going to talk about the Pro devices. So let me just came here for the Deep Fusion explanation. Boy, that Deep Fusion explanation is not even ready yet. So shout out to Dave West. Thanks for joining the stream. Again, just trying to speed up the stream because I don't want it to be too long. But overall, just to wrap it all up into the net, like I said, personally, honestly, I don't say this just to say this for saying the sake. I don't think the iPhone 11 is that bad. Can it be better? Yes. What would have been better? A proper 1080p display, right? A proper 1080p display, 649 pricing, but that pricing is better because there's a reduction and a base storage of 128 gig. I think if it had those, it would have just it would have just been on point. It would have just been on point. It would have just been on point. But it's a better place than what it was. So I think I would be less upset if people bought the iPhone 11. If I saw more people that were dependent on iOS for whatever reason buying the iPhone 11, I would be less upset. I would genuinely be less upset. Perfect? No. You know, no fast charger in a box, even though it supports it. No base storage of 128 gig, which is not too much of a big deal, but it should still be there. Should have had a proper 1080p display. Like, come on. Like, just put a proper 1080p display in there. But they chose the right focal length. The front-facing cameras seems on paper to be a very big improvement. New processor. I'm hoping it's got 4 gig RAM. Slightly better battery life. Still got wireless charging. No indication of I guess faster wireless charging in that retrospect, but overall for an iOS phone it's a good package, right? It's a better compelling package for an in-life current gen product. Now let's switch over to iPhone 11 Pro. iPhone 11 Pro. Wow. That's ballsy. 11 Pro. 11 Pro. All right, so let's skim through. It's the iPhone 11 Pro. So we can see that all the key visuals are mainly focusing on the rear design, because that is the newest thing. The front of the phone does not look any different. So we're looking at a pro camera system. There is 3 is the magic number, as they're saying. Cool. So what have they done? Triple camera, all of them 12 megapixels, which I kind of like it for resolution consistency in that retrospect. But the ultra wide camera is the first thing that you see come up as the main new thing, right? Interesting. Let me just shrink my baby right there. So 30mm focal length equivalent to full frame, f2.4 aperture, 5-element lens, 120 degree. So, you know, this is the same as what we saw on the iPhone 11. That's a new popular one that's come through. Standard wide angle, f1.8 aperture, which I would have loved to see in a bigger aperture lens, maybe down to f1.6, 6-element lens, optical image stabilization, 100% phase detection, focus pixel points, 12 megapixel sensor, 26mm focal length to full frame equivalent. And the telephoto, 52mm equivalent times 2. I mean, you've been stuck on times 2 since the iPhone 7. You got to move it up. You got to move it up. You got to move it up. That's we'll come back to that. So pretty much showing you kind of, you know, what we've been seeing with the trend. This is just catching up with the trend. Let's just put it down to Apple's catching up with the trend. You know, very similar kind of setup to what you see on something like a Samsung Galaxy S10 in terms of times 2, 12 main, and then obviously 12 ultra wide. But their ultra wide is 60 megapixels, 123 degrees. You know, kind of moving it on from there. And that's obviously the zoom wheel in terms of the camera UI. 4K video, again, pretty much wrapping up in terms of what we said about the iPhone 11. The improved 12 megapixel front facing true depth camera seems to kind of be something where it's really caught my attention, because that, like I said, on paper potentially might be the best selfie camera on a smartphone, because it's shooting video up to UHD 4K at 60 frames a second. You've got 120 frames a second in high definition as well. You know, it must be a faster readout 12 megapixel selfie camera in there, wider as well, bigger. Dedicated night mode, again, it's not a dedicated one, it's an automatic one, which I think will get backlash. Personally, I think it will, because yes, I know that it's all about a seamless user experience, but you kind of also want to have control over that. High key mono lighting with the portrait mode, pretty much what we went through with the iPhone 11 before. Slow fees, please let's not make that a thing. And what they've now decided to call this is the Super Retina XDR display. So I think what people were seeing before with their XDR display that was dedicated for the Mac Pro that they created, they believe that this next generation of OLED technology that they've got on their smartphone, it's something that is bringing pretty much similar things in terms of peak brightness, color reproduction, display efficiency, dynamic contrast ratios, pixels per inch, you know, and all the efficiencies that come with it based on being a custom OLED panel with D3, P3 DCI. It's the same display. Personally, it feels to be the same display. They're really saying that obviously four more hours, 5 more hours for the Pro Max. You've got the fast charging in a box finally, so that's a good look. But again, it's like Android phones have been doing fast charging and providing that since 2014. You're now just doing it 5 years on, and it's not anything overly spectacular. It sits somewhere in between 15 and 20 watts. So 15 watt will be something like a Galaxy S10. 20 watt would be something like a OnePlus 7. It sits in between there. It's using power deliveries, 18 watts. It comes in a box, but we don't know in terms of, you know, actual battery capacity, what is being done to improve both the 4 to 5 hour battery life for whether it's the 11 Pro or the 11 Pro Max, right? So it's a positive nonetheless, right? The precision glass, stainless steel, obviously the glass saying that is, you know, tougher, boom, 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 boom. We're going through that. And to be fair, it comes down to dual speakers, now supporting Dolby Atmos, all the things that are there as we pretty much said from before. Let's go to the view pricing. We're just running through this quickly. So the UK has got a nice £49 increase on the base price, or £50 increase on the base price compared to last year. That's the first frustration. I think the green is my favorite color. If I was going to buy it, which I'm not going to, the green, banging color, 100% banging color. Base storage 64 gig. You pay another £150 for 256, and you pay another £200 for 512. Switching it over to the Max. 11 Pro Max. I think the name is actually all right. £1,150. All the way up to 1,500. I'm going to come back. No. No, Apple. Sorry. No. A triple lens camera really needs to stand out if you really want to call it pro, right? There are phones that are doing ×3 optical zoom or ×3 lossless zoom, depending on how you want to see it and what a manufacturer. There are cameras doing ×5 optical zoom, ×6 optical zoom, ×10 hybrid zoom, ×20 hybrid zoom, right? ×50 digital zoom. There are cameras doing real telephoto focal lengths. The last previous one, I pretty much had this discussion with Juan Carlos Bagnell, a couple of other people on there. Nowadays, if you are doing ×2 optical lossless zoom, it is just pointless. You can near enough with these newer main camera sensors, you can pretty much get the same quality with a ×2 optical zoom, with a ×2 digital zoom, sorry. For really to benefit from a true telephoto zoom, you kind of have to be in the ×3 zoom and above, in my opinion. You've got to be doing ×3 and above to really be seeing a difference with having an optical zoom lens. For that, I think that's a missed opportunity, right? The main camera on paper is probably a new sensor, but in terms of the aperture opening, it's nothing special, f1.8. We don't know any details on the exact sensor size and whatever's happening, but we'll see. The ultra wide angle camera is really the new additional, and it's good that it is benefiting from a really good readout, being able to do slow motion, 4K 60 frames a second. It's 120 degree field of view, 12 megapixels for resolution consistency. Great. That's the start of the show. But Pro, no. On paper, in terms of just how the hardware is, it's not pro grade to me enough. It in a way it is, but it's just, it doesn't stand out against the competition. It's just in its own bubble in that sense, right? Front facing camera, definitely pro grade. On paper, I've got to say the front facing camera is pro grade. IMO in my opinion. I've got to say the front facing camera right now, I'm very eager to see how and when that gets tested, honestly, because that's impressive. It's impressive to a point where I can see people that are starting out content creation and need to selfie monitor themselves, and they can use an external audio. You can use that front facing camera, and I think you'll be able to get near enough as good as video quality as the main camera sensor. The difference will be so negligible, and I think that's a really good look. So I've got to praise them for that. Display. Apple, please, 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 for me, can we just get proper screen resolutions? I'm talking about a proper quad high definition resolution, right? Based on the correct aspect ratio that you're using, whether it's 19 by 9, 19.5 by 9, please do a proper quad high definition resolution. These resolutions, 2436 by 1125 for the iPhone 11 Pro, the 11 Pro Max, 2688 by 1242. These are just weird resolutions. They're not truly quad high definition plus displays, right? They are not. They're not doing anything compared to what happened from the iPhone 10 in 2017 and last year for the Max, right? Put a proper QHD plus resolution in there and put a high refresh rate panel in there. These displays really just at face value, unless you see them side by side, I don't believe they're really doing anything industry leading personally, especially with the design with the notch, which is functional because of Face ID. I get it. I just don't think these displays are really doing anything to stand out. Pro. 64 gigabytes of base storage. No, not for that price. I do not care how much people value iOS. Hardware is hardware. 64 gigabytes on a Pro device in 2019, when this is not an S model phone, it's a number upgrade phone. That's not good enough. It's just not. It's the same critique I gave the iPhone XS Max or XS Max when I did my review on it. If you ain't seen it, check out on the channel. I said the same thing. That 64 gigabytes at this price point just ain't cutting it, chief. It just isn't. And I honestly don't believe that anyone would disagree with me saying that. It's just not enough for this price point. The iPhone 11, you can get away with it to a certain extent because there is a 128 gig model. The price difference is just £50. So the step up is not that painful. This is painful. This is painful for a price increase, right? For pretty much the same display and the same storage configuration without any increase. Yes, we don't need 1 terabyte, right? Like the iPad Pros, just 128, 256, 512. Done. Simple, happy days. That would have just increased the value and really made it a Pro device, right? Now, some people are going to argue that obviously the reverse wireless charging is a gimmick. It's only a gimmick when you're using it to charge another phone, personally. But if you're using it to charge smaller accessories like your AirPods, your Galaxy Buds, your Galaxy Watch, it's a great feature to have. And I stand by that wholeheartedly. It's a great feature to, like, I never, ever remember to take my smartwatch cradle to charge my smartwatch whenever I go anywhere outside of home. And even home, I forget. Like, I would actually love to just have a phone, boom, charge, reverse it, put it on there overnight, done. Like, I would actually prefer that. You've got AirPods that enable that feature. The technology's there. You didn't enable it. Pro. No. USB Type-C. Man, like, your iPhone being your main device is the main thing you're holding up for making this complete USB Type-C switchover that you've got on your MacBooks, your iPad Pros, but your 11 Pro doesn't have it. All your other Pro devices that you've named have it, but your 11 Pro doesn't have it. We got to wait another year for 11S, 11S Pro, 11S Pro Max to get that feature. No, definitely not. Definitely not. And the cherry on top is there's no 3D touch. People don't use it as much, but if you're going to take out something like 3D Touch, bring the price down, because 3D Touch is going to be much, much more tactile and a much, much better vibration haptic feedback on a layer pressure level than haptic feedback. So in a way, there's a setback. You've lined it up to what was on the iPhone XR and the iPhone 11. So personally, I think they've not done a good enough job on the Pro devices to really name them Pro. Personally, I don't think you can call these Pro. I think the naming system would have just been better to stick with it as iPhone 11R, iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Max. No one would have complained. But when you're saying Pro, we are expecting certain things. We're expecting the kind of treatment that you gave to your iPad Pro series. We're expecting a Pro Motion display, reverse wireless charging, USB Type-C, a slimmer borders or bezels with a smaller notch design. We were expecting these things. Right, we were expecting these things. A x3 to x5 optical lossless zoom. You know, the ultra wide angle camera is great, but you know, really being Pro, it should have been 123 degrees or 125 degrees. But 120 degrees is still good, right? We were expecting these things. So missing out these things and it being an iPhone 11 Pro based on you feel it's a triple lens camera, fine. You've got fast charging in the box, fine. The A13 chip, Bionic, not Omega. I think Omega would have been a nicer name, but Bionic is probably based on any legal reasons that they didn't want to get into. I don't think that's Pro enough, because iOS is so limited in being able to tap into what these internals can do. And again, I hope it's got 6 gigabytes of RAM in there, because if these iPhone Pro devices are still 4 gig RAM phones, then we'll have to wait and see to clarify. But overall, personally, I just, no. No, these are not Pro devices. No high refresh rate displays, no true quad high definition plus displays, no reverse wireless charging for your AirPods 2, not for phones, specifically for the AirPods 2, the second generation, right? No USB Type-C, no real, apart from that selfie camera and the ultra wide, just as a complete, nothing that really punches above his weight for that price. And the base storage being 64 gigabytes, I seriously, that doesn't sit well with me. And I think they were so clever to, if you watch the keynote, it's not fun, it's not something that they showed. They usually show the storage SKUs, but they didn't. It says it starts at this price. They didn't show the 64 gigabytes of starting because they knew the backlash on that wasn't going to be good. It wasn't going to be good. It wasn't going to be good at all. So, personally, like, lightning, nah, sorry. You're becoming your own worst enemy when you're spearheading USB Type-C. You're getting rid of things like the SD card slot in the MacBook. So really spearheading USB Type-C. You then brought it to your MacBook Pro. So we're like, fine, okay. When you start changing certain products to Pro, we're going to be getting these features. Why are we waiting another year for USB Type-C? Why? The compatibility will be so much easier to have a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable. You've got a MacBook, you plug it straight in, there's a straight connection. Fine, it's Lightning to USB-C. Finally, you don't pay extra for it. It comes in a box. But USB Type-C to USB Type-C, so there's that continuity. My thing is, when is iOS going to get the same treatment that iPad OS got, where you can really unlock the full features of iOS on a phone, right? Having a true file finder, having USB-C connectivity to it, having true multitasking. When is it going to have these features for it to be a really, truly pro iPhone device? That's my argument right now, because the iPad Pro, especially because the iPad OS, I feel like in its own right, as over expensive as it is, has a lot of things that make it Pro, that deserve that name, especially because of iPad OS, right? Being able to link a mirrorless camera to it, transfer files, have a proper file system, robust and you've got the Apple ecosystem of apps that support the iPad and that canvas and that display type and the ProMotion display, 120 hertz, ultra high resolution, ultra bright. There's so many things going on that make it pro. When is the iOS device for iPhones going to get a very similar treatment to it, so that you can actually really start to say that my benefit of this A13 chip is because of these features? We're not getting that. We're not getting that. And I'm sorry to say, but the Pro devices to me are very underwhelming. But they are very underwhelming, but these are devices that they're going to sell, because these iPhones hold a place by themselves, right? They don't have to compete with another brand that makes iOS, right? For those people that heavily depend on the iOS ecosystem or software, right, you have no choice but to go for these phones. Especially if you're coming with an iPhone 10. If you're coming with an iPhone 10, you want an 11 Pro, you don't have a choice. You've got to put up with the fact that in 2 years, Apple couldn't at least double your base storage. In 2 years, Apple couldn't double your base storage. They've increased the price, but you're not getting a better resolution display. You're not getting a better overall display experience. You're just not. In some ways, you're gonna get a worse display experience because you're going from 3D touch to haptic. And you can make the argument of, I never even knew I had 3D touch, or I never used it, but it's a worse display. In terms of tangible notability, it is a worse display. So for those people that have iPhone 10s from November 2017 and upgrading to an iPhone 11 Pro, you're going to be happy, but really deep down, you're getting ripped off. You haven't got the upgrade that really justifies you paying more for that phone. Whereas you should have got at least if it wasn't going to be a high refresh rate display, it should have been a proper quad high definition display. You should have got a ×3 to a ×5 optical zoom. Great, you've got an ultra wide angle camera. Yes, you've got the fast charging in the box, but you should have got a high refresh rate. And because of the haptic feedback, you should have at least maintained the same price at $999, or being $50 or £50 cheaper. That's my opinion. Cross board, I'm not buying an iPhone this year. Not because I can't afford to buy an iPhone. I had an XS Max. I sold it. I've got OnePlus 7 Pro 5G, OnePlus 7 Pro 4G, OnePlus 7. And I think ever since, I've not needed to depend on iOS nowhere near as much as I thought I would. Because I don't use FaceTime. I don't use iMessage. I don't use those native Apple apps like I thought I did. Right? I don't. So sorry, let me just. Yeah, so personally, my overall take on the iPhone 11s, the 11R, as much as I wouldn't buy myself still, because I'm that much of a display knob. That's just me. I'm more of a display knob than a camera knob, in a sense. Like, I value having a very good display, because that is the center part of what I'm interacting with every single day compared to the camera. I depend on fast charging. I depend on good battery. I depend on good storage in terms of amount and speed, RAM for lots of apps usability. That's my priority. It's not so much the camera per se, but I appreciate a very good camera system once you get to a certain price point. That's me personally, right? No. The price gap is way too big between the 11 and 11 Pro to justify it being called a Pro device. So that's my overall opinion on it. That's what I think of the new iPhone 11 launch. I don't think I have time necessarily to talk about the new iPad. Not that it's new per se. What else did they announce? They announced Watch, right? So let me just switch over to desktop, come back. Apple Watch Series 5, I don't believe there's a hardware change on this. Let's see. So always on Retina display. It's an always on OLED display. And again, they couldn't do that for their iPhones, but they've done it for their watch. Are they scared of screen burn or what? I don't know. with materials that you love. Okay. Personally, I'm not seeing anything about this Apple Watch. I was on a train coming home, so I didn't really see what the hype was, but I'm seeing its battery and always on display. So unless I've missed something, guys, please let me know. Design. Unless I've seriously, unless I've missed something with the Apple Series 5, Apple Watch Series 5, someone please let me know. Order. What we're looking at in terms of pricing. It's probably going to be more in UK compared to the 399. Okay, 399. Again, I'll probably come back to this, but unless I've missed something, I keep your Apple Watch Series 4 if you've got it. Unless you're going to get it for cheaper or the same price. So this is the most popular iPad that they sell. It's got an A10 Fusion chip, 32 gigabytes of base storage for this iPad. 64, they couldn't. Oh, mate. Okay. A10 Fusion chip, slightly bigger display, but it's still got the big bezels. I think it's the 4:3 aspect ratio that they're going with. Touch ID still, which is kind of refreshing. A10 Fusion chip. Okay. Order. Let's see what the pricing is. I'm just running through this quickly, but the iPhone 11 is the main focus. I knew it. UK get a price increase. Damn. So it's another iPad. It's another iPad. Scroll down. So let me look through the comments. Oh, sup Ben. So what's your opinion on slow fees? Please. The name is terrible. The technology is on point. It's great to see that selfie camera is probably going to be one of the best selfie cameras all around on the market. All around. I'm not talking about specifically for photography. I'm saying all around, cutting across video and photography. Arguably, it might be one of the best. A front-facing camera that's able to shoot. Not like the Zenfone 6 where it's using the main camera to flip up. I know some people will pick me up on that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the fact that it's an actual fixed front-facing camera that actually shoots 4K 60 frames a second and slow motion video with all the other benefits such as portrait mode, with all the portrait lighting and stuff, with the cinematic video stabilization. Yeah. Arguably that front-facing camera might be a content creator's dream for smartphone vlogging. Honestly, it might just be that, and for smartphone photography. But we'll have to wait and test it and see. I got to run, but it's great to see you, Mr. Jackson. Appreciate that, Zach, man. We'll touch base. We'll catch up. Techzilla, totally agree on the 5G thing. Kind of, I guess, at that price point, I do. Better future compatibility would have been nice, but Apple shot themselves in the foot because they were one of the first devices in the UK to do 4G. They could have been the first to do 5G, but they messed themselves up with Qualcomm and Intel. So yeah, Intel modems are not on par to what Qualcomm are doing. We're gonna have to wait till next year, worst case scenario 2021, before anyone on an iPhone gets 5G. So that's just gonna be more money. Dave. I was really hoping to get a great standalone night mode. I think there's going to be backlash for that. That's answering Dave West's question. Not having a dedicated night mode. There's a night mode, and they're falling into the same trap that Samsung did. They're going to get backlash for it. I don't care what anyone says. But not having the option for you to switch to the night mode yourself to be able to take night shots, they're going to get backlash for it. And anyone that doesn't give them backlash for it, they're not going to learn. And they're not going to... What people don't realize is Apple are not going to do a software update to make it a dedicated night mode. They don't do stuff like that. They don't even allow you to change your frame rates within the camera. They're not going to do that. You're going to stick with that for a whole year. And then when the iPhone 11s, the 11s Pro, the 11s Pro Max comes out, they'll be like, we now have a dedicated and improved night mode. You're going to put up with that. So how it picks up low light sensitivity it has to be really on point. But then the fact that you don't have control to pick the ability to activate it yourself, as great as it is, it's going to be a setback, and it's going to make phones like the Pixel 3, the Huawei series, the OnePlus series, the Samsung series, giving you that option so much better for user experience. It's going to take away from the user experience personally. Yes, Dave, answering Techzilla. Guy Robert, with the battery life that they are claiming, I don't think they increase the RAM. Another reason why I just, for you not to increase the RAM of the iPhone 10R to the iPhone 11 from 3 to 4 gig, big mistake. From the iPhone 10s and 10s Max that had 4 gig RAM, if you're not pushing up to 6 gig RAM, right? How are these pro devices? We can make the argument so much that iOS doesn't need it. iOS doesn't need it. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know that the iOS 13 is not going to be more resource intensive? And even if it's not, for better long-term support for newer software that comes out, why not have more RAM to make it easier? Why not have more RAM to make it much better in terms of compatibility? Why not? Shouldn't you get it? Isn't it a pro device? You're getting pro devices and performance devices that come with 8, 10, and 12 gigabytes of RAM. Overkill or not, it's the case of if you're pricing something at a certain price point and you're calling it a certain product, it should have certain pro features, and it just doesn't have it. The iPhone 11 gets forgiven because it's not trying to be that. So the pricing for an iOS iPhone product is so much more aggressive, right? I get it in that sense. Is it still perfect? No, it deserves all the critiques right now before being tested, and when it gets tested, that it deserves to have for any device, irrespective of who you are. But it's the better phone. It's the phone that people are going to be saying that they did the best job on, because this 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, anyone that's buying it wholeheartedly thinking that they're getting the best value for a premium pro device from Apple, and Apple are relying on that. They're relying on the fact that their audience, right, the average Joe Blogs or whoever you want to call, isn't going to care. And I think it's really unfair on the consumer base that, yes, it's a business. They shouldn't care about you in that sense. But it's just by principle. The technology is there at a much more accessible price point, at a much more accessible rate. Why not put it into these pro devices? I guarantee you, if this was at least a proper quad high definition display, or if it was the same resolution but it was a pro motion display at 90 Hz OLED, definitely pro. USB Type-C, definitely pro. Reverse wireless charging, definitely pro. Times 3 to times 5 optical zoom, definitely pro. Everyone would be like, this is a pro iPhone. This is a pro iPhone. And given the iOS for iPhone the same or very, very similar benefits to iPad OS, definitely pro. They didn't do that. This is not pro. This is not pro. It just isn't. They should have just named it iPhone 11R, iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Max. Done. So that's my opinion on it. I kind of wanted to drop my 2 cents on it. That's the Tech and Chill live stream iPhone 11 event for September the 10th recap. Apple Watch Series 5, always on display. Compass, better battery life, I guess. New iPad with A10 Fusion chip, bigger display from 9.7 to 10.2. That's it, man. That's it. Like, I think we've hit the hour. So, next 5 to 10 minutes, let's do a Q&A. So, anyone got any questions for me, fire away. I think I got, I don't know how many people I've got on the stream. I think I've got 3 people on the stream. So, yeah, man. Anyone got any questions, man, fire them away. Let me know. But I strictly wanted to just keep this to the hour. And yeah, low-key, do you guys prefer live streams in 60 frames a second, 30 frames a second, or 24? I think I prefer live streams in 60 frames a second because it gives the illusion or gives the feel of like it's happening right now. Things that are live, like sporting events, are always shot in high frame rate. That's kind of my opinion. So I prefer doing live streams in 60 frames a second. But let me get your opinion. Any improvements to the setup, let me know as well. We'll give it another 5 minutes, see what's good. So tech rant. So this is on Periscope tech rant. So iPhone 11 no fast charger. Your thought? Yeah, I forgive it more, Trenton. I forgive it a bit more because it's not trying to be a pro device, and I think the price drop, although to me at 699 it should have been 649, it's a better place. I forgive it more. At least it supports it. There are cheaper 18-watt chargers that you can buy to compensate. It should still have come with it, but I forgive it more because it did a price reduction. They reduced the price. They gave you the right ultra wide angle as a second camera rather than a telephoto. There's a newer processor. Hopefully there's more RAM, slightly better battery life. You still get a strong IP68 rating for 2 meters 30. The iPhone 11, I think it did somewhere between okay to good. It sits in between there, mainly because I really think they needed to have put a proper 1080p display in there. But as for the fast charger not being in there, I forgive it a bit more. A bit more. I'm not saying it should be in. It should be in there ideally, but I would have said if the price was still 649, the same as the iPhone 10R was last year, I would have been like, that phone needed to have the fast charger in the box. But the fact that you reduced the price, I'll forgive you a little bit more. The best iPhone we've ever made. It is the best iPhone they've ever made. Doesn't mean it's good enough. Grav X in the house was good. Grav. It is the best iPhone that they've made, but that's not a lie in them saying that. It is the best iPhone that they made. It's their most advanced camera system for both rear and front. I've given enough praise to it. The A13 chip is fast, but won't really get tapped into like you would get on the iPad OS. It is the best iPhone they've made. It's just not the best phone on the market. Not against a competition that's coming out now. It's gonna get drowned in a few weeks. In a few weeks, it's going to get slaughtered. The only thing they did right was the price. The only thing they did right was the price drop for the iPhone 11, not for the 11 Pros. The 11 Pros got jacked up in the UK. And the pricing for the Pros are still questionable with base 64GB storage. I'm sorry. Those Pro devices cannot have 64GB storage, have the same price, or have a price increase based on what country that you're in, and be called Pro. It needed to be 128. I'm like, nah. they're not. I'm not. Yeah, the best phone is. I just feel sorry for Huawei. I think the best phone right now in terms of flagship, although imperfect in its all its way, but it nails so many things right. It's the OnePlus 7 Pro, personally. Is it a perfect phone? No. But look at it. A proper true quad high definition plus display for that 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio, 3120 by 1440p resolution, new generation fluid AMOLED display, which is high resolution based on OLED, and it's 90 Hz. There is no phone on the market that has all those things put together. High resolution, AMOLED, high refresh rate, truly borderless edge-to-edge display, 6.67 inches. There is no phone on the market that has that display. Some displays are similar, but there's compromises in certain places. Right, 4,000 milliamp hour battery, warp charge 30, UFS 3.0 storage up to 256 gig, ridiculously fast, up to 12GB of RAM. You get a triple camera system in there, which is flexible, where you can take 48 megapixel stills, use this pixel binning to give you really high quality 12 megapixel stills, ultra wide angle camera. Like, it cuts across well. Huawei do it well, but obviously I still don't like the fact that for a Pro device, they have a 1080p 60 Hz display. Yeah. But the camera system is good. I'm selling my Note 10. Note 10 Plus is impressive as well. But the user experience on the OnePlus 7 Pro for a flagship premium phone right now is the best on the market. The user experience. I'm talking about the user experience. The user experience on a OnePlus 7 Pro, it is the best on the market right now for a flagship smartphone. Fact. Every person that will use a Note 10, a Note 10 Plus, even a Galaxy Fold to a Huawei P30 Mate, they always, even an iPhone XS Max, they always say this. The user experience on an iPhone, on a OnePlus 7 Pro, it is the best on any flagship phone right now. Period. And you don't realize how important that user experience is until you realize you don't have it, and you realize that's the thing I'm using the most. I may care about the camera, but actually the user experience with the best display technology in there is the most important thing consistently every single day when you use a phone. That's what OnePlus does well. Absolutely agree with you on that. I tweeted that a while ago and got roasted for it. The Galaxy Note 10 Plus's UX is a better place than where it was, especially for one-handed usability, because of how One UI caters to the larger screen for one-handed use and reachability. But it does not take away from the fact that, especially anyone that's running the Android 10 beta, right? The OnePlus 7 Pro's user experience, and I will keep saying this, at the end of the day, it is the best on any flagship Android or flagship, forget Android. It's the best on any flagship phone, period, right now. They nail it so right consistently that it will make you forget any little nuances that you have an opinion on that phone about. That's how on point the user experience is. So yeah. Yay. Right, guys, I've enjoyed this live stream. I'm going to give it 3 more minutes. Thank you for everyone that joined the live stream. I hope the quality was to your liking. I hope the information hit where it needed to hit. I hope, you know, we can share the same opinions as well as factual information with each other. I'm enjoying doing these streams again. So that's the recap of the iPhone 11. That is the recap of the iPhone 11. So Gary Fox just joined. How is it going? The stream's just about to end, Gary. 2-3 minutes, man. Thanks for joining anyway. Coming from the GravX again, coming from the 7 Pro, felt the best, and coming to the Note Plus, it was immediate, because at the end of the day, the user experience matters way more. The Warp Charge 30 out of the box in there. So many things, man. Liam, what's good, Lee? Liam's joined the stream. Old work colleague, what's good, Liam? So that's about it, guys. That's about it. For all the replay crew, check the live stream out once it goes up. For everyone else on Periscope, thanks for tuning in as well. Hopefully I didn't miss too many people's questions on Periscope. The replay is going to be there so you can watch it, and we are closing out. I am closing out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have a follow-up. There's other tech news that is going to be coming, and so many different things, you know. So this one is completely dedicated to the iPhone 11 recap. I've given my opinions on it, and that's it, man. So peace and love. Thanks for tuning into the Tech and Chill Show iPhone 11 event recap, and I will catch you guys in the next one.